All right, what's up, everybody? I welcome all of you to part two of my four-part fundamental series. In this episode, we're going to talk about training. So I want to start off with the basics. First of all, you need progressive overload. And if you guys don't know what that is you increase weight, or you increase reps, or you increase sets, or you increase some sort of stimulus to the muscle, which increases throughout a period of time, whether it be from a month or within a week, within weeks, within days. That changes. That is totally up to the individual. But progressive overload is a very important stimulus, and it's generally what makes the muscle grow. So this next one is more geared towards beginner lifters, and that's form over ego. You want to have impeccable form by the time you're a year or 2 years into the training. Another really important factor is the full range of motion. Without the full range of motion, you're only getting whatever percentage you're doing of the movement. If you have a full range of motion, then you will get the most amount of gains. These next ones that I want to talk about, these are my principles and things that I implement in my workouts, but I don't implement them all the time, but generally I do. So let's begin. When creating a program, I generally start off with a compound movement. It really depends on the individual's goals, but if I'm ready for myself or someone with close goals to mine, I start off with a compound movement for strength gains, and those compound movements are things like bench press, overhead press, deadlift, squat, those types of things. So after you've done your compound, I move on to something that's moderate to heavy weight, and I will do that exercise, and then right after that exercise, I'll go to an exercise that's more of a stretching exercise just to get that fascia. That's a term used. It's a tissue that is on top of that overlays your muscle. All right, here's a principle that is pretty widely accepted too. The weight that you pick should be relatively heavy, but you should also be able to control it. It shouldn't be wobbling around. The weight shouldn't be controlling you. Like, let's say when you're doing a lat pull down, when you're pulling it down, you want to feel it, but when you're releasing, you want to release it slow, and that's another factor right there. When you're releasing it, don't let the weight just pull you up. That's pretty important. You should always have control, and that's how you make the muscle grow, basically, because you need to feel the muscle. You need to have tension on the muscle, and that's how you do it. If I have to say, I'd say you should feel the contraction at all times. I mean, it does really depend from muscle group to muscle group and movement to movement, but you should always, especially for beginners, you should always try to feel that muscle first, and you should always get that form in check before getting to really, really heavy weights, because the more heavier you go, the more risk of injury you will have. When doing an exercise, let's say like the straight bar bicep curl, control the negatives. That's 50% of the movement, and that's 50% more you're leaving gains in the tank. And you don't want to do that. You want to make as much gains as you want. You don't want to be swinging. If you're swinging, that just increases your risk of injury. That increases, that decreases the amount of muscle that you can build. Now, there are times where you can cheat reps, but that's an advanced technique that I will hopefully go on over in another video. But like 90% of the time, you don't want to cheat. You don't want to swing. You want to feel it all the way up. You want to feel that contraction. When you're releasing, you want to let it get down slowly. And the last thing I want to say is uncomfortability. If your bone structure is just not suited for a machine, and people say like it's very good, then don't do that machine or don't do that exercise, because if it's not good for you, it doesn't matter how much muscle you can potentially build if it's going to injure you. So don't do that. Do things that are more geared towards your body, your anatomy, your muscle structure, your bone structure, all that kind of stuff, and just test things out, basically. Test things out for yourself and see which one feels the best. Well, there are things like type 1, type 2 muscle fibers. There are things like giant sets, cluster sets, supersets, drop sets, all these kind of things. But those are pretty advanced things for now. This is a fundamentals video. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.